In this video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut this asymmetric neckline bustier inbuilt dress. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. So to start, here is my pattern paper and I've gone ahead to mark out my basic measurements, which includes my shoulder to bust, under bust, waistline and blouse length. Now, after I was done marking this, the next step I'll take is to go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2 plus half. Now, I'll come down by 1 inch, and after marking that, I'll go ahead to draw my neckline of 3 inches, then place my ruler and I'll connect. The next step is to find my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6. It was 1.5 inches. Mine gave me 7. I made a mark there and I'm going to draw out a straight line. So after I was done marking this, the next step is to mark what you have on the shoulder back on the chest line. And after that, you're going to place your ruler and you're going to connect, drawing out a straight line at that point. So after I'm done marking that, I'll go ahead to divide what I have there into 2 equal parts. Come out by ½ inch. After that, I'll insert my bust circumference divided by 4. My bust is 33 divided by 4. I have 8.3 inches. After marking that, what I'll do is to place my tape. I'll connect from the midpoint to the upper part and then I'll connect this all the way to the chest line of my pattern. So after I'm done connecting at this point, the next step is to mark my dart. And to mark my dart, I'm going to start with my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches. I'll go ahead to mark this all the way to the lower part of my pattern and I'm going to place my ruler to go ahead to connect this. So after I'm done connecting at this point, the next step I will take is to mark my dart intake of 1 inch on both sides. So now, if you're a plus size or you're a bit busty, please go ahead to use 1.5 inches for your pattern. So I'll just go ahead and take this all the way up and also to the other side. So I'll also repeat this at the other side of my pattern this way. Now, I'll place my curve through, touching my bust down to the under bust, and I will repeat this at the other side of my pattern. After I'm done doing this, the next step I'm going to take is to use my marker to outline. So the next step I'll take is to determine where I want my pattern to start. I'm using 1.5 inches, which is not a standard. You can use 2 inches, 2.5. It totally depends on where you want yours to start. Or you can go ahead to measure all the way from the neckline to where you want it to stop. Place back my tape and I will mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 and I will place my ruler to connect. So after I'm done connecting, I'll mark a dart intake of 1 inch on both sides of my pattern, and after that I'll go ahead to place my curve drill and connect this all the way up. I will also go ahead to connect this at the other side of my pattern. So this is what I have. Now if you're plus size, go ahead to use 1.5 inches. Now if you're not so busty, you can use 1.25 at the upper part. Here I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, replace the dart intake I have here, and I will add my sewing allowance. Now I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake and replace my sewing allowance. My under bust and my waist is the same measurement, which is 28 inches divided by 4. I have 7 inches. I marked, replaced the dart, and I added the sewing allowance. Now at the lower part, I'm going to mark my hip circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. This dress is in form of an inbuilt bustier pattern, which means you're going to make your full blouse, then go ahead to make your skirt, attach your skirt on it, and you now shape the asymmetric hemline or lower part of this blouse with your skirt area. So after marking this now, the next step I'm going to take is to outline my pattern, and after that I'll go into marking my bust dart. Now to get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17 inches, my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. So minus 15.5 from 17 inches, what you're going to have is 1.5, which is my bust dart. So after I'm done marking this, right, the next step I'll take is to go ahead to go up by the side of my pattern. You can use 1.5, 2 inches or 2.5 inches. Now I'll go ahead to connect this all the way down. So now, just like I said, you're going to shape the waistline of your blouse with your skirt because this is an inbuilt dress. Now I'll just go ahead to cut this out. After cutting out this dress, we'll now proceed to altering the dress. So make sure you blend in your dart and while you're cutting so that that place will align. So after cutting this now, all this measurement I have here, I'll transfer it on the other side. So this is my pattern. After I'm done transferring my measurement, you can use your tracing wheel or you can draft it back. Now this is the center of my neckline, and I marked a basic neckline of 3 inches by 3 here. So what I'll do is I'll connect my neckline back to the center, and I'll also connect the other side of the neckline back. So after this, the next step I will take is just to go ahead to come down by ½ inch here, and I will reconnect it because if you notice the neckline is slightly low here. You can also use 1 inch at that part. So after this, I will reconnect. Now for the neckline at the upper part is more like a basic neckline of 3 by 3 inches, but you're going to trace out your Ankara pattern. So just like I said, you're going to cut out this asymmetric neckline side. So I went in here about 1.5 and I slanted it down. So after cutting your main yoke, which is your illusion net or corset mesh, you're now going to trace out that pattern, place it on it and tack it down on it to create that design that you have there. So after this, I'll just go ahead to cut out my pattern. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave your comments at the comment section. Or you can also follow me on my other YouTube channel, which is Marcus Closet. So this is it. You're going to cut out your pattern first, then later you now trace this out and then use it to cut out your Ankara or lace patch. Now moving over to the back pattern of this dress. So I've gone ahead to mark out my basic measurement for the back pattern, which includes my shoulder to bust, shoulder to waistline, which is 15.5, and also my blouse length, which I added extra 5 inches to get the blouse length. So after I'm done marking that, right, the next step I'm going to take is to just go ahead to mark my dart. But I'll go ahead first to mark my basic neckline. So I didn't get to see the back of the dress, so I'll just be leaving it as a basic back pattern. So I'm using 3 inches by 1.5 here, and I'll connect this back. Now I'll start by marking my dart. I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2, which I have 3.5 inches, and I'll go ahead to mark. Now everybody's nipple to nipple is not the same. Go ahead to measure yours. Now I marked ½ inch on both sides, came down by 1 inch from the bust. Now I'll go ahead to place my ruler and connect. Now I'll connect this all the way to the lower part of my pattern. Now the next step is to go ahead to insert my measurement. I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. My bust is 33 divided by 4. I'll mark and add my sewing allowance. Since it's an inbuilt pattern, you don't need so much sewing allowance on your pattern. ½ inch is okay. Even if you want to add, do not add much. I marked my waist circumference divided by 4, measured the dart intake, replaced, and I'll add my sewing allowance. Now, if you want to snatch your waist, go ahead to deduct what you want to take out from your waist and mark. Here, I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, add my sewing allowance, and I will connect. So after this, I'll just go up by the lower part of my pattern. Just like I said, you can use 1.5, 2 inches or 2.5 inches here, and I'll take this all the way down. So this is what my back pattern looks like. Next, I'm going to mark the lacing area, and for the lacing area, I'm using 2 inches. You can use 1.5 inches. It totally depends on what you want. Now I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I'll draw out a straight line connecting this all the way down. So after I'm done marking, the next step I'll take is just to mark these dots to indicate that I have a lacing here. Now for the neckline of this dress, you can go ahead to use whatever design you want at the upper part. So here I'll come down by ½ inch connect it all the way up so that the lacing area will not be popping up when you're putting on the dress. I'll mark 1.5 inches here and I'll reconnect it. So this is what the back pattern looks like, although I didn't get to see the back pattern, so I'm just using a basic back pattern. So here I'll come up by 0.3 inches and I will shed it out. So after I'm done marking this, right, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to cut out my pattern and we'll cut out this skirt. So at this point, if you have any question, please kindly leave it at the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up, leave your comment at the comment section also. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out, and after this we'll go down to cutting the skirt pattern of this dress. Also remember that this dress is an inbuilt corset which you're going to place your skirt on it to shape out the waistline of your dress. Now this is my skirt pattern and I'm just cutting a skirt that is not so long. So I added my zipper allowance in front because I want to use one pattern to cut both the front and the back pattern of the dress. I'll just go ahead to fold this in before we start taking our measurements. So now I place my tape and I'll mark my waist to knee point. Now after marking my waist to knee point, I'll go ahead to outline. Then after marking that, the next step is to mark my waist to a hip point. So your waist to hip point is 7 inches. For a much taller person, go ahead to use 8 inches. Now at the waistline, I'm going to mark my waist circumference divided by 4 and I'll add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and also add my sewing allowance. So take the measurement you have here. Whatever you have at the hip, you're going to deduct 1.5 or 2 inches from it depending on how fitted you want it to be. So at the waist to knee point, what I'm going to do is to come up by 2 inches. The reason why I'm doing this is to give the skirt a fitted effect, and I'll go ahead to place my ruler and draw out a straight line. So after marking this, I'm just going to go ahead to place my tape and I'll come in by 2 inches or 1.5. Just like I said, like deduct whatever measurement you have on the hip, take out 2 inches or 1.5 to mark. This is to give your skirt a fitted effect at the lower part. Now I'll just go ahead and connect this all the way down. So after connecting this, I'll just go ahead to cut this out. Now if I cut this out, I'm going to use this to cut out the front pattern of my dress. And when I want to cut out the back pattern of this dress, all I'll do, the back pattern of the skirt, I'll bring out the zipper area. Now you're going to sew your skirt and then attach it on top of your inbuilt blouse and shape out the waistline of your dress.